All right. On a big Monday after a huge win for him, we are back here on the mic podcast, and it's been a long time since we spoke to him. But with a win like that, and first and foremost, I've always said great things about this man, just as a fighter and a person. But showed up, held his word, was here like he said, and we're doing this interview like he said. Although the eye's swollen, but I appreciate you being here, Curtis Blaydes, sir. How are you?
I'm good, man. Just hanging out, relaxing. Not much else to do.
Right. Well, first and foremost, congrats on the big win, UFC 266 over Rozenstruik. It's the obvious question, but how is the eye doing right now?
It's fine. Just a little swollen. It is what it is. It's part of the business.
It is part of the business. And one thing I kept thinking about before, we were scheduled to sit down and talk is I remember the few times we've talked, you've always said, and it's not just with me, but, when you talk to me, I'm going to remember it. You've always said, I'm not going to change my fight style. I will not change my fight style. I'm not here to just win over fans, because they want to see, gladiator days. And you didn't need to please anyone. You stuck to your game plan. You got a great win over Rozenstruik. What is that like for you to just know, like, listen, no matter what, I'm not changing this game plan?
I mean, it just, for me, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's just who I am. That's how I've always, like, I think it would be extremely hard, and I think it would be a detriment to my earning potential and my health for me to just like today I'm just gonna be a different fighter. I'm going to dance with the girl who brought me to prom. I'm in the UFC because it's just it's in my DNA. I know a lot of people use that terminology, but it's legitimately in my DNA. I can't help but wrestle. So,
And I think you and I have said multiple times, and when we've talked, we've let it be known, and you've let it be known, like, what, number one, why would I change? This is what gets me
there's no
victories.
reason.
I mean, whether or not the crowd is standing and cheering and going crazy, or they're not as
My
happy
bad.
because you're having your performance, I would just ask, for you, when you know what you're great at, and let's just call it what it is. Curtis Blaydes, you are one of the best heavyweights, not in the UFC, in the world. There's a list of 4 or 5. You're right on that list. And for me to hear fans kind of just voice displeasure because you're sticking to what brought you to the dance, what brought you, and you're wrestling. Doesn't that aggravate you a little bit and go, you guys just don't understand what you're watching?
It used to aggravate me, but it doesn't. I think when I turned, I had my birthday early this year. I'm 30 now. I think when that happened, I just like, I'm not gonna put energy into people who A, don't like me or don't respect me, and B, it doesn't, it's not gonna improve anything on my end, whether or not people agree with how I fight or whatever. Because regardless, as long as I win, I bring home a win bonus, I'm happy. That's really the end all be all. I know we're supposed to like want the fans to like be on our side, and I do want that, but I'm not going to beg you. I mean, like if you're an educated MMA fan, then you understand why I'm using the wrestling the way I am. And I'm sorry,
No,
my
you're fine.
eyes all shit. Uh, the butterfly is getting into my actual eyeball. Shit.
Well, that's not
Yeah.
good.
But yeah, shit, I forgot what I was saying. But yeah, I don't. The fans, they they're not the reason I'm getting in the octagon. I'm getting in the octagon for money. That's the end all be all. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, for money and for your legacy. And I think, Curtis, right there on paper, you're one of the best in the world. And for me, when I watch you do what you're best at, it looks to me 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we'll look back at the career Curtis Blaydes and go, hands down, maybe, if not one of the greatest heavyweight wrestlers of all time. Right now, you are the greatest. Yeah. And during his career was one of the best heavyweights in the world. I want to say champion. I know you're knocking on the door right there as well, but you know, doesn't that mean something to you to know, like, all throughout the heavyweight history, there's no one better who does what you do, which is wrestling, and has been as successful as you have been in the heavyweight division with your wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, that means a lot. I think that's the biggest reason why people are they're not used to seeing it, because they've never seen a big guy like me who has the conditioning, who has the skill to implement wrestling the way I do. So it's weird. I remember I was actually speaking about this with one of my buddies last night. We were over having a few drinks. And I forget how we got on to this subject, but I was actually like, people are used to heavyweights being one-dimensional, having one way to win. They have to go in the middle of the octagon and swing. And yeah, that's very exciting. That's always been that's been how it's always been in heavyweight. Like, everyone, you do, it's like an agreement. We're not going to wrestle. We're not going to use any other skill besides haymakers and hooks. And I guess I'm a bad guy because I'm breaking the agreement. I want to use the other skills, the other physical gifts I have. I'm long. Why wouldn't I use my jabs? I'm athletic. Why wouldn't I use my footwork to, like, draw you into where I want you to be? I'm smart. Why wouldn't I use my wrestling to put you on your butts, to tire you out, and then also it removes the threat of me getting hit in the face, because this hurts. Like, I don't want this happening. That's the benefit of the wrestling, is when you're on your back, you can't hit me with things like that. Like, that was the knee he landed. That was a great knee. That was sweet. That's the reason why I wrestle, because you can only eat so many of those before the body starts breaking down, the brain starts breaking down. I know fans don't want to hear about that, like the CTE and us having futures as, like, fathers and husbands and just like people. But yeah, I would very much like to be able to remember my daughter's birthday in like 18 years. I don't. So, but like I said, people don't care about that, but I do. So that's the reason why I fight the way I do. Longevity and health, and it's just the best way for me to get the victory.
Well, speaking of your jab as well, man, you used that very effectively in this fight against Rozenstruik. And the easy question would be, oh, how hurt were you after that knee? But that's not what I care about. What I do care about is how confident were you feeling knowing that jab was effective, because you are putting on a display of all of your skills. Like you said, heavyweights have normally been, let's just stand and bang, haymakers and hooks, as you said. But to be able to use that jab and then go into what your masterpiece is, your wrestling, what kind of confidence was that jab giving you?
I mean, it gives me all the confidence in the world, because I know I can touch you and you can't touch me. And then I know if nothing else, the judges are watching me touch you. Those are points that's being added up. So even if I don't get to use my wrestling, I'm still on the scorecard. I have the lead. I'm able to lead the dance, because I'm touching you, and you have to figure out a way around me. And that opens you up. That opens up the takedown. So you have to be a lot more aggressive. You have to bring your hips. It's a lot harder to hide stuff. At the knee, the reason the knee landed, because I was overly aggressive again. That's happening in the Derek Lewis. I can't help it. That's also my DNA. Like, I like to be aggressive. I like to be the one doing the pressure. And that's been a major thing for me to have to work on over these last few months, is like patience. And that's really what I'm most proud of about this weekend. It's is I was very patient. I know in the past I probably would have the booze. It might have been able to influence me into a bad takedown entry, and then who knows? Maybe I'm on my back again, waking up in an ambulance. So I'm very happy with my patience. I'm very happy with my performance, and I wish like we always want to get the finish, and I do feel like I had opportunities to like hunt it, but I wasn't hunting it as aggressively as.
I think I just lost you here for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Well, I wanted to ask Curtis because obviously we know what's going on at the top of your division. The night before your fight, though, a man who's never hiding from the headlines, and Jon Jones gets arrested. And I know you had said you're open to a fight with Jon Jones. We'll talk about some of the other guys you mentioned, but I'm just curious your take when you want to continue to climb that mountaintop. And then you have a guy like Jon who is expected to probably get a title shot upon going into the heavyweight division or a big fight, regardless. And you're a big fight for him. What do you make of a guy who has it all just waiting for him when he's ready and then he's out getting arrested again?
I mean, that's on Jon. I think I do find it a little disappointing. I wish he didn't have all these issues. It would be nice if you could just always like pencil in Jon, but you can't because you never know. And I mean, I don't know if he's got like, well, obviously he does have demons as he has to work through. That's none of them high business. That's just from the outside looking in. But it is unfortunate because who knows when he's going to be available? Who knows what the legal fallout is going to be from this? Because I haven't really heard any of the details. I just heard it was um something domestic involved, so I don't know. But yeah, who knows what's going to come of that if he has jail time or suspension or whatever. So at the top of the division, now I'm used to this. This is how my division's been since I've been in the UFC. It's always been like a something, either the DC versus Stipe or Ngannou versus Stipe. It's always gonna be like that, and I think it's just something you get used to dealing with, and it starts bothering you. Like it doesn't bother me. I understand that there's a log jam. There's always a log jam. It just is what it is at this point.
Now you've called out, obviously Stipe or the winner or loser of Gon and Ngannou eventual title fight. But do you have a preference between like those four names, whether it's Jon, Stipe, Francis, or
No,
Ciryl Gane?
it's about the money and who. Honestly, the belt, because the belt is what leads to the most money. So whichever fight leads me into the belt is the one I want. It's not about people always expect me to be like, I want Ngannou. I dream. I want revenge. This is just business. It's not that personal. I don't hate the guy. I don't think about him. I don't care. It's just business. Like he beat me twice. It is what it is. I don't hate him. But that's the answer everyone expects. That's the energy people expect. I'm like, this isn't like an anime. Like this isn't a movie. This is business.
With that being said, I'm curious, who are you taking in a fight between Francis and Ciryl Gane?
Uh it's heavyweight. It's 50-50. Anybody who says like 100%, I know who's gonna win. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's a good way to lose money. You don't know.
Right? Uh, you mentioned Stipe, obviously former champ, and he's kind of doing, what you said. He's waiting around. He's calling for his rematch against Francis, and
Which
obviously
he
you would over.
deserves.
I was gonna say it's hard to argue against it. It does seem like politics kind of
No,
got involved there. If he does want to get back and get in there active, wouldn't that be a perfect fight for you? He is a wrestler. We saw what he did, way back when he fought Francis and used his wrestling. You're a world-class wrestler. No one comes close in your division to your wrestling, and he's a former champ. Is that a matchup you would like?
Yeah, I'm going against. I think he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. That would be amazing. But I don't have a preference. Like, I honestly don't. Because the money's going to be the same. It could be John, it could be Stipe, it could be Gon or Ngannou. The money's the same for me. It really comes down to who provides the easiest path, not easiest, but the fastest path up to the belt. So whoever that is, if that's Stipe, we're down. If that's John, we're down. If it's Gon or Ngannou, we are down. We just want the belt.
I absolutely love it. I'm going to go off topic here for a couple questions, Curtis. I want to ask you, because obviously we know where you're from. We know your city. I also know, just being your friend for a while, I know that you're a big football guy. How terrible was that Bears performance yesterday?
Thankfully I wasn't able to watch it, but because we're out here at the Airbnb in Vegas and we weren't able to get the Bears game. But I watched the highlights on YouTube. I watched the NFL highlights on YouTube. That's what happens when you don't block a generational pass rusher like a Myles Garrett. Like,
Right.
That's what he'll do. That's why he's a generational pass rusher. And I mean, he's a rookie, and the Bears O-line is we got two of both of the tackles are rookies. So it's going to be a lot of this. Like, I'm a realist. I did not expect the Bears to win. If they win 8 games, that's a great year. Like, we don't have a lot. Like, you don't beat teams with the foundation that we have. The defense, it ain't what it used to be. It ain't bad, but it's not like we can't destroy teams just with defense. O-line's not good, like I said. Running game is up and down. We don't have a great tight end, that's usually what you want to give a rookie. Is a big 6'6" dude in the middle who's always open. We don't have that. That's what Mahomes had. I think that really helped his growth. We're missing a lot of stuff. It just is what it is, and I'm just really, for me, with this year with the Bears, I'm just focused on Fields' growth. Like, I want to see him every week. I don't want to see him making the same bad decisions. Like, he can make mistakes and bad decisions. I just don't want them to be the same ones every week. I just want to see growth. That's okay.
Never thought I would get my Bears fanhood and kind of passion for football kind of settled and calmed by a UFC fighter, but here we are. I agree with you, man. I really don't even know, on a side note, that I don't think Matt Nagy's going to be the guy for the job. I don't even know.
Oh, no, he gone.
He's got to go. He's got to go. One thing that's kind of standing out in the back of my mind as we talk, though, Curtis, is you mentioning it's just business. It's not personal. It's none of this. And I want to ask about a guy who's not in your sport, but is taking people from your sport left and right. And he's doing so and getting them so emotionally charged up and invested. And now that I was like, no way, I don't want this guy involved in combat sports. I don't think he takes it seriously. I really can't stand this guy. I'm now sitting here at the end of 2021 going, I think Jake Paul understands the combat sports business. I think he understands a lot of it.
Oh, no. He
so I'm curious what you think of Jake.
He's a businessman. Obviously, he knows how to earn money from all the years he's had on YouTube and whatever, all the other platforms. He knows how to earn money. We know that. And he's not the worst boxer I've ever seen. I've seen guys who look way worse than him. So he ain't the worst. And how long has he actually been doing boxing? For like a year and a half or
I think it's like 2
3 years.
years.
I don't know. Yeah. So, like, he looks about as good as he's supposed to look at this stage, and I'm not blaming him for the people that he wants to fight. This guy went straight from YouTube to being a professional boxer. He didn't have an amateur a career. He didn't do no smokers. So I don't blame him for going after a Ben Askren, a Nate Robinson, especially if they're going to pay you the money he's getting paid to do it. Why not? Like, I don't blame him. I guess a great hustle, and I do some of the things that he brings up when it comes to the UFC and MMA in general. He's making some good points. I'm not going to argue with him. He's actually a lot smarter than he looks. I will give him that. He's a lot smarter than he looks. He looks
That
like
is
an
the
idiot.
best way to describe it. But I was
Yeah.
going to ask about that more specifically. What do you make of him? And I'm not asking you to go back and forth here about Dana White, but he's not afraid to call out fighter pay. And that's a conversation you and I have had. He's not afraid to put his money where his mouth is. We saw what he did, I believe, with Sarah Alpar. He donated to her GoFundMe. He's offered, Tommy Fury made $250,000 in his first fight, in the fight that he just had. And now Jake's saying, I'm going to quadruple your money and I'm offering you $1 million. Why would you not take this fight? It just seems like from a fighter pay standpoint, Jake Paul understands that. As a fighter who has been vocal about it in the past, do you respect everything he's saying and how he's going about it with fighter pay?
With that specifically, yeah, I respect it. And I appreciate it. He didn't have to interject his own opinion, but he does, because how does it help him? He's not in the UFC. He's doing it just because he genuinely believes it can be improved. So I can always respect that. Like, hey, the more people we have speaking on it, especially with platforms like his and reaches, he has a huge reach. I don't know. I don't follow him personally, but I know he has a lot of followers. I know his words have weight. His words have values. So I appreciate that. And hey, if you're a fighter that he calls out, take the money, bro. Take the money, bro. Like, if he wanted to give me, I wish he was a little bigger. If he wanted to, I would box him. I would box him right now. But I know I'm too big. But if there was a bigger version of like a Jake Paul who wants to box me for $1 million, yes, I'm down. Yes, I am so down.
UFC fans around the world are jumping out of their chair hearing you say that. They're like, wait, he wants to box? What is this?
Yes. Shit, I don't care.
I absolutely
this
love
is
it.
not about the win. I don't care. I might win.
Curtis
I might
Blaydes is here
care.
to secure the
I know
bag.
what I am going to do. Make $1 million. Yeah.
Yeah, Curtis
That's the
is here
name of the
to
game.
secure the
That's
bag.
the name of the game.
Well, Curtis, my last one here for you. What's next, and realistically, what do you think happens next for you?
Honestly, you have to ask me in like a month and a half. We need to see who's available, who's injured, who's not injured, the money. Like, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like I give you that answer a lot because I really don't know a lot.
I'll take that. I'm okay with that though. You and
I
I have
really
done
don't
these for a
know.
long time. I almost expect it, and I always only ask that question because I know it's right there, and maybe it doesn't frustrate you, and maybe the fans don't get to you anymore, but it does get to me. I'm being on this
Don't let
side.
them get to you, bro. Don't let them get to
No,
you.
it's not even
Don't
being.
let them ruin your
If I'm
weekend.
being neutral, it's not just with you though, Curtis. It's being and hearing fans and or going out watching fights and hearing people say the things that they say and then try to play matchmaker the next day, and it's like, well, you don't know half of the situation, so it does get a little frustrating when you're right. When I know so many fighters are right there and big opportunities await, but. Maybe you're right. Maybe got to calm down my expectations for the Bears this year, and then maybe I just got to stop listening to every fan in the fight.
You definitely got to drop down those expectations. We're not making the playoffs. Just remove that. That's not happening.
Well, Curtis, it's always great talking to you, man. I really do appreciate your time, and thank you again for being, truthful to your word and saying you do this on Monday. And when I saw the eye, I was like, man, I don't want to ask him anymore. But
no problem, bro.
Mad respect
like
for
I
you,
said,
man. And I can't wait to see what's next for you. And hopefully we can talk before your next fight.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Curtis.
Let me know.